The history of all hitherto existing society is a history of class struggles. Freeman and slave, patrician and plebeian, lord and serf, guildmaster and juryman. In a word, Bruin and Leaf. The Bruins win! 2-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Bruins fans, it is time to hug it out. Oh man, wow, I am very drunk. Because that is a 2-1 victory over the Toronto Maple Leafs, crushing them in the fourth consecutive Game 7 loss is against the Boston Bruins that they faced. Welcome back down into the den. If you couldn't tell, I am very, very drunk. And unlike last year, it is for a good reason. It is for a very, very good reason. Man, Bruins fans. Oh, this was a fantastic series. This was a fantastic series because we knew as soon as it went to 7, the memes were going to be real. The memes were going to be monumental because it was going to go one of two ways. Either the Leafs would continue to not beat the Bruins and suffer their fourth consecutive Game 7 loss against the Boston Bruins and continue to not beat the Bruins in a playoff series since 1959, or the Bruins would be the first team in any sport that has a playoff structure that is a best of 7 in series. That is the NBA, and that is the NBA, the MLB, and the NHL. All of that to lose back-to-back series in which they had a 3-1 lead. Well, we know what happened. We all know what happened. A Game 7 loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs in overtime against the Boston Bruins. And oh my god, it could not have been worse. Honestly. I know. The Steve Dangle, the person that I have based pretty much the entire formula of this channel is based off of Steve Dangle. Well, the entirety of that off of a Leafs fan that has suffered nothing but heartbreak over the past 17 years now. Oh man, I am sweating profusely, partially because I was running all over the place trying to find my DoorDash guy. Yeah, I end up getting Wingstop because I am drunk as shit. I am very, very drunk. We all know it's for good reason. But this series, it was exactly what you would expect from a Bruins team when you remember that this Bruins team was very much in a bridge year. Like, let's not forget. Let us not at all forget. This Bruins team is not great. It's not great. This Bruins team is in the middle. Actually, no, not in the middle. In the very starting portions of a rebuild. Let's not forget that we're in the middle, that we are at the start of a rebuild. Look, we've just lost Bergeron and Krejci. And what has happened? And Charlie Coyle and Pavel Zacha have stepped up. Not in this series though. Not in this series though. Let's be 100% real. In this series, Coyle and Zacha not great. Both of them, like 2 points all series, and Zacha not great. Zacha sucked at the dot. Zacha was not great in offensive pressure until it mattered most. Until it mattered most. The most. But let's also not forget, the Leafs shot themselves in the foot. Like, we as Bruins fans, I think we can, as much as we hate the Leafs, we can respect them enough for taking us to 7. We can respect them enough for taking us to 7, and not only taking us to 7, but taking us to overtime in Game 7. But, as the people who root for this fucking crest, this is the same shit that I said after Game 5. You do not give up on this crest. You do not give up on this crest until it is over. You do not give up on what this spoked B represents until it is over. And what did the Bruins do? They did not give up on this spoked B. Bergeron and Chara were in this building. And so were Jason Tatum and Joe Mazzulla, but that's beside the point. The Celtics honestly are in a much better spot than the Bruins are. But that's also because you know what? We all know. Oh, basketball, you can roll with like 3 players and you'd be fine. You can roll with 3 players and you'd be fine. But if we're gonna talk shit about the Leafs, we might as well do it with a semi-sober mind, because I am very drunk. Because, man, the Bruins, they know exactly how to get me drunk. Long live the best drink in the world. But Leafs. Thank you. Honestly. I have to have a little bit of reverence for you. Because honestly, the fact that you guys were so underpowered and took us to 7, it's giving 2013. It's giving 2013. You know, in terms of Leafs strength of roster, there is 2019, 2018, 2024, and 2013. Well, let's be honest. That 2013 roster was awful. And Bruins' strength of roster in terms of series against the Leafs, 2019, 2018, 2024, 2013. Like, let's be honest, it was pretty evenly matched. But the fact that Ilya Samsonov was so bad through the first 4 games that you guys had to pull him in the last 20 minutes of Game 4, and then start Joseph Woll for the from the third period of Game 4 all the way to the end of Game 6, where he. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I don't mean to burp in jest. I am very drunk. But Joseph Woll, fantastic throughout this series. But also he was facing a Bruins team that had lost all semblance of offense. Let's not mince words. The Bruins in games 5 and 6, awful. Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Bruins. Anyways, you only muster up 3 shots on goal through the first half hour of each of these games. Terrible teams. And then they end up getting their shit together in Game 7. And I really do not think that losing in Game 7 in overtime, I really don't think that is indicative of the Leafs team. Because let's be honest, this Leafs team wasn't that terrible. Like, it wasn't as high powered as that 2019 season. Like, I know Matthews was on the cusp. He was on the cusp, the doorstep of 70 goals. But at the same time, the rest of the team was not there. The rest of the team was there. Meanwhile, in 2019, the rest of the team was not very there. Bruins team sucked the Bruins team was very, very mid this series. Let's be real. Let's be 100% honest with ourselves. We were playing shorthanded. And it's not just because Danton Heinen was a game time decision and he ended up being ruled out of game 7. Let's be honest. We were playing shorthanded the moment that Patra was announced that he would be out for the rest of the season. And I know a lot of you are probably going to say, "Oh, Patra didn't contribute that much." It was his rookie season. It was his rookie season. He was on the third. He made the third line out of camp. Yep. The value that Matthew Patra is going to bring to this team next season is going to be immense. Let's be real. It's going to be good. And for what it's worth, the way that I'm treating this is very indicative of how we should have treated the Bruins through the season. It was supposed to be a bridge year. Let's be real. This was supposed to be a bridge year. We were not supposed to be the second best team in the entire Atlantic. We were not supposed to be one of the best teams in the entire league throughout the entire season. We were supposed to be kind of mid. We were supposed to be about where we were in 2021, 2022. Where we started a streak of losing games in which we should have closed out. Now, according to Money Puck, that Game 7 against the fucking Hurricanes, was the only game within the time frame of 2021 to current day that we should have lost. Yes. And yes, that is using their deserve to win-o-meter. Because, fuck it, sometimes you deserve to win. And sometimes, just because you deserve to win, doesn't mean that you win. Just the way the game goes. Just the way the cookie crumbles. But let's be real. Bruins were shorthanded this entire series. Because we were shorthanded from the moment that Matt Patra was announced that he was going to be out for the rest of the season. And I honestly feel like you could say that we were shorthanded from the moment that Nick Foligno got traded. And I know that people are going to say, "Oh, well, what about when Bergeron got traded?" Not when Bergeron got traded. When Bergeron retired. Sorry. Again, I am very drunk. But people are gonna say, "Oh, well, what about when Bergeron retired?" Look, we knew that last year was Bergeron's last year. We knew, like, whether we want to admit it or not, we knew that Bergeron and Krejci last year, those were their last years. We knew that decision was coming eventually, and for what it's worth, we got them a cup. For what it's worth, we got them a cup. I really wish we could have gotten them 2, even 3. I really wish we could have gotten them 3. And by the way, that Marchand line change would not have done anything. We were down. We lost that game 4-1. What did that line change really do? We would have, if we had changed that better, we would have lost 3-1 instead of 4-1. Congratulations, we still would have lost. Regardless, this was supposed to be a bridge year. This was supposed to be a year in which we figure shit out. Like, that's why we brought back Lucic, and for what it's worth, we brought him back for only a little bit before he ruined his opportunity with us. Fuck him. I'm very happy that Brittany is divorcing him over this. My prayers go out to Brittany and Lucic's kid. It's not to Lucic. Although I still very, very much hope that Lucic gets the help that he needs. And honestly, I really, really want you all to realize. I really, really want you all to recognize that like people can change. People can change. And I know. You can't necessarily change what you did in the past, but you can. But what you did in the past doesn't necessarily mean that it should dictate everything that happens in the future. But at the same time, this is not necessarily a show. This is not necessarily a show, a video series about about criminal justice reform. This is a show about the Bruins. This is a show about the Bruins. So, after a bunch of cleaning up Wingstop juices, because I am, well, we all know. I want to say, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you to the Toronto Maple Leafs for making this competitive. And I know. The main reason why you made this competitive is because, for some reason, the top line goalie that you guys paid a shit ton of money for decided to not show up in the playoffs, and for what it's worth, was saving $890 before the playoffs, and up until this game was saving $883 in the playoffs. He was not good. Let's be real. Ilya Samsonov was not good at all. Well, all I can say. Leafs, you need capital NEED. You need to re-sign Joseph Woll in the offseason, because he is the main reason why this series went to 7. He is the only reason why the series went to 7. And like we like to say that the Bruins offense did not show up in games 5 and 6. And for what it's worth, they didn't. They didn't. Pastrnak did not really do anything until game 7, in which he went forehand, backhand, jockstrap on Ilya Samsonov. He didn't really do anything until then. Charlie McAvoy had a terrible season. Had a terrible series. Legitimately, one of the worst series I've seen from McAvoy in all of the years that I've seen in hockey. I have this might have been one of the worst that I've seen in a while. This McAvoy series was awful. McAvoy was terrible. Oh. But Bruins didn't give up. And for what it's worth, the Leafs didn't give up either. They saw that this was Game 7. They saw that it was Game 7, and part of me kind of said like, oh, they knew that this was going to be over, but they also knew that it wasn't over when it hit 3-1. They also knew that it wasn't over when it hit 3-1. They knew that it wasn't over when Samsonov was pulled. They knew that it wasn't over when Matthews was pulled. So big props to the Leafs for knowing that it wasn't over when everybody said it was over. And for the Bruins, honestly, shame on you for allowing this to go to 7. And it's not just because it went to 7. It's because you played so terribly in games 5 and 6 that you allowed this to go to 7. The only reason why this went to 7 is because you allowed this to happen. This didn't need to go to 7. Joseph Woll, for as quality of a goaltender as he is, I genuinely think I don't think that Joseph Woll is going to win a Vezina. At any point in his career. I think he is going to be a very, very good goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs throughout for the entire time that he's with the team. And unless there is a fantastic team in front of him that can bolster his stats, Joseph Woll is not going to win a Vezina. But for what it's worth, Toronto, congratulations, good job on knowing that it wasn't over when it went to 3-1, and good on you for having that fight in you, but also good on you for knowing when the fight was over. That goal that you guys scored in the third period, I thought that it was over. I really, really thought that it was over. And then Lindholm with 6 shots on goal through all six games for the entire series, had 6 shots on goal going into this goal. Oh my god. Again, we knew going in that this was going to be a bridge here. Bergeron and Krejci gone, and Hall and Foligno gone. Traded for guys off the scrap heap. Every single trade deadline acquisition gone, including Bertuzzi, who went to the team that we went against in this series. Bertuzzi went against us in this series, and we still won. You tied us to the train tracks. We came out alive. Do I think that we have a shot against Florida? No. I really don't think that the Bruins have a shot against Florida. Those motherfuckers took out the Lightning in 5. Against a team that had essentially a Hart front runner for the second time in his career. And the the Florida Panthers just completely steamrolled them. I don't think the Bruins have much of a shot against the Panthers. And for what it's worth, it kind of matches last year. Like I said after Game 6, you could take any game from the Bruins Panthers series last year, and those could have gone any way. Those could have gone either way. This series against the Leafs, we allowed this to go to 7. This was a series in which the Bruins, this is the series in which the Bruins could have closed it out in 5, but we decided to toy with our prey. I don't like that. I don't like that. Just go in for the kill. Pasta. Oh. We had been complaining about him all series. 4 points in 5 points in 7 games. And for what it's worth, 5 points in 7 games, that's pretty good. But 5 points in 7 games with no points after like game 3, either game 3 or game 4. And from there on, not a single point until forehand, backhand, jockstrap on Ilya Samsonov. Terrible. I don't think the Leafs re-sign Samsonov. I don't think the Leafs keep anyone. I don't think the Leafs keep anyone from this team. Maybe Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley played a pretty good series, and especially Joseph Woll and Jake McCabe. Those two are the reason why this series went to 7. And Joseph Woll and for some reason Jake McCabe, just fucking the MVP of the Leafs season for some reason. He played amazing this series. Like I said, I will give the Leafs props where they're due. Bruins, you got a lot to catch up on before your series against the Panthers. But for this series, you changed history. You could have lost this game. You allowed you allowed 31 other franchises to laugh at you for being the first franchise in sports history to have a 3-1 lead in consecutive playoffs and blow both of them. You blew a 3-1 lead against the Panthers, and you almost did against the Leafs. But pop that champagne because you allowed everybody to laugh at the Leafs. And for what it's worth, Leafs played a great game this year. Tonight. This game didn't go to overtime because the Bruins just steamrolled the Leafs. This game didn't go to overtime because the Leafs steamrolled the Bruins. This game went to overtime because, honestly, this game was pretty evenly matched. This series was pretty evenly matched. And honestly, couldn't have wanted against a better team. So thank you, Leafs, for everything that you've done. And thank you, Bruins, for restoring my faith in you. Now, let's go on to Florida. And that is gonna be it. That's gonna be it. I know. I didn't play shipping up to Boston. I am too drunk for that. Actually, you know what? They say that the people play best when they're drunk. So let's see. That's proof that you don't. And that's gonna be it for me tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. And go Bruins! Let's go.